Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make a gift bag that's kind of like a purse, but also has a boat kind of appearance. I hope you'll stay tuned. So I watched Sam Calcott on Mixed Up Craft make this type of gift bag, and I thought, this is so pretty, we need to try it. So what you're going to need, I'm going to give you all of the paper, but you're also going to need a scallop punch or a scallop die, scallop circle, and you need to be around 1 1/8 or 1 1/4 inches in around or across, I guess across. Then next up, let me give you the sizes of everything we're going to be using. You're going to need 2 pieces of plain colored cardstock, and if you've never seen me make any kind of 3-dimensional projects, this is my paper of choice. I get it from Amazon, and no, I'm not affiliated with Amazon, but I will give you the link to this. If you don't know what affiliated means, it means that when people are affiliated with Amazon and their viewers use the links, then I would get money into my Amazon account, but I'm not affiliated with them, so I don't get any money. I just like to make sure I tell you that, so that in case you're wondering, you can always use my links, but I always encourage you to price shop, because the cheaper you can get things, it makes me happier. Anyway, this is from American Crafts. It's called Primaries, and it's a smooth cardstock pad, and it's a heavyweight, and it has 12 different colors, and most importantly, it's a solid cardstock, and that means it doesn't have a white center, and you don't want anything with a white center when you're doing projects like this, because when you cut the paper, you'll have a white edge, and you don't want a white edge. The other paper I'm using might still be available, might not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, from Joann's, and it's from Park Lane, which is the killer's outside again, apparently. The Park Lane brand is Joann's private label, and Watercolor Floral is the pad, and I have seen it available online, not in stores. Hopefully you can find the watercolor florals at Joann's online, but sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't, so it's kind of a crapshoot. So what you're going to need 2 of your plain colors, and these are going to be 9.5 inches by 12 inches, and then you're going to need 2 of those 9.5 by 12. You know, all the information I always put below the video, so if you're wondering if you have to go somewhere else to find this information, nope, it should be below the video, unless I'm very wordy and then I have to go to my blog, but usually you're able to find it right below the video. You need 2 of those, as I said, and then you're going to need 2 pieces of colored cardstock. This is for your sides, or patterned cardstock, sorry. These are 4.5 inches by 6 inches. You need 2 of these. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of 12-inch by 1 inch. Those are for your handles. Then you're going to need, I'm going to only decorate the front of my bag because you need to have more of this pattern cardstock than I have, so I can only do the front. So you only get 2 pieces of each in this page, in this pad of cardstock. So when you're doing something that's this big and you need all these other little pieces, then sometimes you can't decorate the back. So we're not decorating the back. And if you have more, then you could, if you have more of your decorated cardstock, then you would want 2 of these. Then for the handle, excuse me, for the closure, you're going to need a piece that's 3.5 inches by 3 of your plain colors, and you're going to need a piece that is 2.5 by 2 3/4. That is to go on top of that, and that is in your patterned paper. So let's get started with our scoring. We're going to start with our bigger pieces. On your 12-inch side, you're going to score at 3.5 inches, and that's going to be toward the bottom. That's important in a minute, but for right now, I just want to make sure you know that you're going to have a 3.5 inch score that's going to be near the bottom on both pieces. Okay, Then you're going to turn it to your 9.5-inch length, and you're just going to make a couple marks. And I'm going to do this with a pencil because I think it's easier. Well, I'll just do it with I want you to be able to see it, and I don't know if you can with this. You're going to make a mark at 1.5 inches, just a little mark at the top, and another one at 8 inches. And you're going to do that on both. Oh, and that is as far away from this score as possible. So you want to make sure that's at the bottom and these are at the top. Follow that? Hopefully you did. Again, you're going to put this one in at the 9.5-inch length, and you're going to put a little mark at 1.5 inches and a little mark at 8 inches. And I'll explain that in a second about why we did that. Then we're going to go to our side pieces, we'll call them. And on these, on the 6-inch length, you're going to score these at 5 inches. And then you're going to turn them on your 4.5-inch. You're going to score at 1/2 inch. Let's see, 4 inches. And you only need to go down to your score line at the bottom. You don't want to go, yeah you do, go all the way to the bottom, sorry. So you're going to be scoring at 1/2 inch and 4 inches. And then we're going to score in the center of that, so that would be 2 1/4. You're going to score at 2 1/4, only down to that line that you scored at the bottom. 2 1/4. So 1/2 inch, 2 1/4, but on the 2 1/4 only down to the score at the bottom, and then 1 at your 4 inch. We'll do it again so that you don't, so that following me isn't really confusing. Again, you're going to put your score that you just made at the bottom of the page. You're going to score at 1/2 inch all the way down. You're going to score at 4 inches the whole way down. And then you're going to score at 2 1/4 inches, but just down to our score. That's going to make it so that we'll be able to fold our sides in. Then we'll take our two pieces that are our handles, the 12-inch by 1 inch. So we're going to put this in our scoreboard, but we're not going to start scoring until we get to about 1.5 inches. And we want to score at 1/2 inch. So kind of try and figure out where that score line or mark is. And then you're going to score down to 10.5 inches on your scoreboard. So you're going to start at 1.5 and you're going to score down to 10.5. If you're a little bit off, that's not a problem, but that's what it should look like. You should have a blank area here. You're going to have an end that doesn't have anything scored on both ends, and then you're going to have a score through the center. We have everything scored except for the little purple piece that is our closure. Okay, on the 3.5 inch length, you're going to score at 2 3/4, and that's the only score you're going to do on that piece, because this is going to be the piece that closes over the top of your bag. Everybody with me? Hopefully you are. I think we've done all the scoring we need to do, so we can put our scoreboard away. Before we do anything else, I'm going to do some trimming. Oh, I forgot to make a couple marks on this piece, so we'll do that in a second. Do you remember those little marks that we made at the top of these purple pieces? I'm trying to find a pencil because, why would I be able to find one? I don't know. I'm going to show you with a little black pen. My mark is right here and right there. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line up. I'll put little marks on my paper up my score. Hopefully you'll be able to see these. Probably won't be able to, but let's hope you can. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your paper into your trimmer. You're going to put the little mark at the top in your cut line, and you're going to line up this little mark on your score line so that when you cut this, your corner is going to be in the score where your score line corner, I don't know how you say that, your score line, and then up here where you made that little mark, those are going to be in the cut. And then this will make it so that we have an angled bag. You see how it's angled now? And we're going to do the same thing to our other side. There's that piece. Then we're going to do the same to our other. There we go. So those are those pieces. And then we're going to cut, I need to do the same with our piece that's going to be on the front of our bag. And unfortunately I forgot to make the marks on it, but I'm going to tell you what those marks need to be. So these marks are going to be at, it's on the 9 1/4 inch side, length. We are going to make a mark at 1 1/4. Nope, is that a lie? 1 1/2. 1 1/2. Don't listen to me. Okay, you're going to make a mark on the 9 1/4 inch length at 1 1/2 and at 7 3/4. Yep, 7 3/4. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this in our trimmer where those little marks are. You're going to line it up, only this time you're going to go right to the bottom edge. Put the mark you just made in the cut line, and then you want to make the cut go all the way to your bottom left corner, like that. Hopefully we're all on the same page. Okay, then on this side, same thing. We're going to put this in our cut line, line it up so the little mark is in the top part of your cut line and that your bottom is right like that. So hopefully it's going to look the same. It's going to fit on our other piece. All right, now we're ready to roll. We'll work on the handle and do the other parts of the bag as we get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold and burnish our scores. We're going to just fold those two, and then we're going to fold these, and then we're going to fold this piece down, and then you can either fold this odd score out or in. I'm going to fold mine so it folds out like that. Again, you're going to fold this in, this up, and then I'm folding my little score, my center fold out. So it's going to be kind of like that. All right, then I'm going to have you cut out this corner box that you have. You're going to want to cut those out like that. But I'm also going to have you do a little bit of an angle here and a little bit of an angle here so that our paper will fit easily into the folds it needs to fold into. So you can either cut it like I just did, where you cut the square or the rectangle and then you cut the angles, or you can do what I did this time, and that was I just I cut them as I went. You know, I cut the angles as I went. We'll do it again. And I think the only thing left, I didn't fold that. We just need to make sure this is folded too. So this little piece should be 2 1/2 by 2 3/4, and it fits right in the center of this piece. After the, when you fold that under. And I kind of like mine to be rounded, so I'm going to take my corner rounder and I'm going to round the bottom two corners on both pieces. If you don't know, this is my corner rounder of choice. It's called a Katomaro Pro, and I got it from Amazon. It's probably the only tool that I gush about, and I do gush about it because it works like a champ every time. Just saying. And I'm just going to round the corners that are farthest away from your score line. So your score line is up here. You want to round the ones at the bottom. So that piece is glued down, and we'll get back to that later. Now, I'm not going to do anything with our handles yet. So now we're ready to start gluing things together. And the way you're going to glue this, I'm going to show you the easiest thing to do. You're going to want to glue this bottom flap to the bottom flap of your bag. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put glue on the bottom. So what you're going to do then is you're going to pull in this flap, and I'm just going to put a row of tear tape right up to the edge. Sometimes papers don't like adhesives, like acetate also doesn't like anything but tear tape. So you have to make sure that you use the right glue for whatever you're working on for your project. I'm still going to add some glue to my back edge just to make sure that it really wants to stay. Okay. And again, we're going to line it up with the side of the bag. Before you get that tear tape adhered, you want to make sure that you're laying it exactly where it needs to be. Then we're going to do the same with our other side. I'm going to put a little bit of glue just to make sure that we have a little wiggle room on this bottom piece. Because when you put that bottom down, you have to be able to make sure that it's going to be lined up perfectly with the edge. And then, now when we put this other piece on, we have to slide it into this piece. So the best way to do this is to take your scissors and take just a little sliver, and I mean little sliver, off so that it fits in there really easily. It's just going to slide in, and I'll show you that when we get there. So it's just these little kind of slivery pieces, and then I'm going to use wet glue on this. I'm going to put wet glue underneath it. I'm just going to cover over our bottom so that if anybody was looking in the inside of your bag, all they would see is a really nice looking bottom, because you've just covered over the flaps that you put in there. Then you want to fold in your flaps, take off your tear tape. I'm going to turn the bag this way because I think you'll be able to see it better. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of wet glue on these flaps just to make sure that they lay well. And then I'm going to lay that one down right where it needs to be, and then push this one in a little bit. So then it looks like this. And this piece, this side, or this is where your two bottoms line up. If I was you, I would make this your back of your bag, because it's not as pretty as this side where it has just a fold. And then we're going to put this right here. Might as well adhere it, right? While we're trying to get everything ready to roll. It's so hot here that my glue is drying before I'm getting it on the bag. So I'm going to try and add more glue to it this time, or else I'm going to have to go with tear tape. Okay. I'm going to have to do this on my lap, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that, but it's the only way I can really make sure that everything's centered. And then I'm going to put it face down, and I'm just going to rub it. If you have any paper, like right here, I have some paper sticking out. You know, like my bottom paper is sticking out. You can just trim that off if you have that happen to you. Okay, let me squeeze this so you can see. See how it looks kind of like a, well, Sam Calcott says it looks like a boat. I'm not sure I would call it a boat. It just kind of looks, I don't know, looks like something. Then we're going to put our closure on. Nope, we're going to do our handles. All right. So when you do your handles, the way you do these is you're going to fold them in half. But remember that you have this end that isn't scored. You don't want to squeeze all the way to the bottom. You want to put glue, and I'm going to put tear tape just through the center, and I'll show you how far into it that I'm going to put tear tape. I'm not going to put it all the way to the ends because you need to be able to have this lay flat on your bag, and if you go all the way to that to the 1.5 inch line that's that where you stopped on each end, if you go as far as that, then you won't be able to get it to lie flat in your bag. And since it's our objective to have this lie flat in the bag, we're gonna go with it. And I'm gonna put a little bit more glue in there, and then I'm gonna pinch this shut, and then we'll play with it a little bit so that we can see. And how you do this is you kind of push down where your score stops, kind of like it should. If you hold it where the score line ends and you just kind of push down on it like that, you end up with like a triangular piece. You see that? Sorry, I got glue all over me and everything else. We're going to do the other end. One of these I scored too far. It must be this one. So I'm going to hold it in place and just kind of push down on it like that, and then we'll get that triangular look. And we'll get the other one, we'll do the same thing. And we'll put some tear tape through the center. If you don't have tear tape, that's fine. You can always use wet glue for this, but it does make making gift bags a lot easier. Just saying. Again, we're going to go down to the end of our score, and then we're going to push like that and make a triangular shape. Down to there and make the triangular shape by just squeezing it. You're holding the end of your piece, and then hopefully that made sense. And then to make these look cute, we're going to glue the little scallops to them. But before we do that, I want to use something to make this curl. Okay, a lot of you, when you see other people do curling paper, it looks really easy, but for some of us, it's not that easy. So I take something that's round, like this is a pokey tool, and I just lay the round thing on the paper, and then I just pull. Okay, so this is our top, our closure for our bag, and I've added some Velcro to the back of it, and I've added 2 rows of tear tape to the top above the score line. Your score line's at the top, and your Velcro's at the bottom. And you'll know what the bottom is on this piece because those are the corners we rounded, if you recall. And I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue just to be sure that everything's going to be well adhered. And then to make this work, you're going to eyeballing it. At least I'm eyeballing it. You can do whatever you want, but I eyeball a lot of stuff because, that's how I roll. And then I'm going to line it up so that my score line is not on the bag. So you've got, I don't know if you can see this. See, the score line is right here, and when I fold it down, you can see that the score line is free to fold. That's important. You really want that to happen, because then we're going to take our bag, we're going to line up the 2 sides, the front and the back side, and you're going to pinch them and hold them in place. The reason you're doing this is to make sure that when you put your flap down, that it is lining up perfectly with the bag. So right now it looks like this. It's cute. Then we're going to put some adhesive on the backs of our, well, maybe we'll glue down our flowers first. We're putting our flowers so that they're toward the bottom, but covering up a lot of our square. Not square. Yeah, I guess it's called a square. But you're going to line that up so that it's covering some of it. You can do bigger, you could do a bigger square or a bigger, yeah, I don't know why I keep saying square. You could do a bigger scallop. In fact, it's kind of bugging me. I might want to do a bigger scallop. I might want to do a bigger scallop in a different color so that it's bringing up some of the, more of the colors. Bringing out some of the colors in the background. I'm going to go with a 1 3/4 inch and a 1.5 inch circle. And I'm going to use the 1.5 inch circle in a different color that still matches, but I think it would make it look better if we have 2 different colors. This is an actual gold kind of shimmery cardstock, so I think I'm just going to do some of those for our handles. So I've got our flowers made. I couldn't think of the word flower. And now I decided maybe they're too big because will I not be able to make them work on the bag? I don't know. Let me look. I still think I should be able to do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tear tape down through the center of our flower, top to bottom, and that way it'll definitely stick to the bag. Now if you're going to be using this bag for something heavy, like you're going to be carrying something more than just a shirt, or you know, if you have something in here that's going to be heavy, you probably should be adhering this with brads so that you can be certain it won't come off. But I'm going to be using tear tape, and I'm putting my tear tape on the back inside of the part that is not scored. I'll probably end up putting 2 or 3 strips in here because I want to make sure it doesn't come off, if you know what I'm saying. So let me add all of my tear tape to the back of the handles and then I'll be right back. So we've got the purse done except for our handles, and I glued our flowers onto our handles, and I'm going to turn the whole bag sideways so I can make sure it fits in the camera frame. And then I'm going to lay one of them like that, and one of them, trying to make sure they're roughly in the same spot on both sides. And I'm going to do the ones for the back. So I have my front and my back, and then all we have to do is gently take our Velcro piece off the first time, and then you want to really rub it down to make sure that both of these pieces are well adhered to the paper. And then we can, again. Now Sam thinks this looks like a boat because of the way these poke out, but if you wanted to, you could also push them in like this and have it just look like a regular handbag. It's up to you. It's cute both ways. I kind of liked it this way better. Don't know why, but I thought it was more unique looking. I'm going to turn it this way so I'm sure you can see the whole thing in the frame. So this is the finished bag, and let me give you measurements of how big it is, because that's always something that we need to know. Because you get a present, you want to make sure it fits in here. It is, across the bottom, it's 9.5 inches. From top to bottom, it is 8.5 inches. And I think it's 3 inches front to back, 3.5 inches front to back. So it will hold quite a bit of things. Keep in mind that you only have a closure, or something that holds it in up to the, I think it's 4.5 or 4.25 inches, actually 5 inches. So you want to make sure that if you have something that it isn't very tall, because you're going to want to put some kind of paper, tissue to hide it in here, and so it'd be better if it was shorter rather than taller. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.